You're tuning into Black and White Sports on YouTube. The no-holds-barred truth on sports. The main event starts now.
All right, Black and White Sports supporters, we're going to talk about the Denver Broncos, Russell Wilson, his future being very much in doubt, and the Broncos already flirting, already being interested, already showing up in mock drafts with a new quarterback coming out of this very, very deep quarterback draft. And we'll talk about that quarterback a little bit in this video. So we know the Broncos lost to the Kansas City Chiefs on Thursday Night Football last week. Got to be honest, that feels like 10 years ago now. It's kind of crazy how when a team plays on Thursday Night Football, it's like, man, you get around to the next week and we're only on Tuesday. It feels like the Broncos played 2 weeks ago, not like 5 days ago or 6 days ago or whatever it is. So we're going to get to this report from a very good NFL insider, Diane Rossini, and what she says about Russell Wilson's future, and then we'll get to said quarterback. And, of course, she now works for The Athletic. I got to tell you, The Athletic, they've got a few guys over there and girls that is very good at their job. Sometimes they wade into the social justice crap a little too much, but they got some folks over there that really, really do their homework, talk to a lot of people, and do a lot of deep dives. And we know Diana Rossini has been around for a long time, formerly of ESPN. It's unclear whether Payton will stick with Russell Wilson at quarterback past this season. If the Broncos decide to move on from him, Wilson has another $37 million that becomes fully guaranteed on the 5th day of the 2024 league year in March. I would be surprised if Wilson is part of the Broncos' future. And guys, we know he is struggling, okay? He is struggling. Wilson has failed to move the needle for an organization that gave up a pair of first-round picks, one of which was a top 5 selection and a second-rounder to acquire him. Not to mention the $250 million extension Wilson got from Denver on the doorstep of the 2022 season. Guys, without a doubt, the Seattle Seahawks absolutely, they fleeced the Broncos in this. Geno Smith still looks solid this year. He does. He still looks like a solid, competent NFL. Geno Smith has turned himself into a solid professional NFL quarterback. Kind of reminds me of the way that Alex Smith had the big resurgence his last couple of years with the 49ers and then those several good years with the Chiefs. And he was heading down that road at least as a winner with the Redskins and then got hurt very badly, and his career was essentially over at that point. But Geno is sort of similar in that. It kind of makes you wonder, do teams give up on some of these NFL quarterbacks too soon and decide to move off? And are they not looking at some of the quarterbacks that they draft on their roster? There are literal, a lot of people don't realize this. Some of these drafted quarterbacks in the 3rd, 4th, 5th round, they literally get 3 throws in a practice. 3 throws. Okay, and then they get some work like in minicamp, but to actually work with the offense and run offensive plays and this and that and the other, it's shocking. It's a league full of quarterback cannibalization. They don't really truly try to see what they have at these quarterback positions behind the starters necessarily. Even the backups. Like if they have 25 reps during the week, the starter will get, maybe 18. Backup gets 5. Third stringer gets 2 or 3. And that's it. It's pathetic. It's crazy. So that leads us back around to next year's draft, right? And what may happen there. and what we're seeing. So the Broncos this past week, they're looking at Drake Maye, and they're looking at Drake Maye very closely. And this report came out from ESPN. On Saturday, the Denver Broncos have at least one scout on hand to get up close at one of the best overall prospects in the 2024 draft, the NFL draft class, as well as one of the best quarterbacks in the class. Guys, this is going to be the deepest and best college football quarterback draft ever. Now, I would want to keep in mind something. This same kind of hype was going down for the draft that Trevor Lawrence was in. Oh my God, Trevor Lawrence, Mac Jones, Justin Fields, Trey Lance. Anybody remember that? It's supposed to be the deepest quarterback draft ever. Potentially, those three on the backside of that, outside of Trevor Lawrence, all three could be bust. That's a real possibility. That prospect is none other than North Carolina Tar Heels quarterback Drake Maye. ESPN's Jordan Reed initially reported the Broncos' presence at the game. The NFL teams with scouts in attendance at the Miami, North Carolina game, Denver, the Texans, Raiders, Dolphins, Vikings, Jets. Minnesota had multiple representatives there. Not only will the Broncos be getting a look at Drake Maye, but Miami Hurricanes defenders Leonard Taylor, Cam Kinchens at safety are other potential first-round picks in the game, but the headliner in any North Carolina game is pretty much always Drake Maye, who is expected to be the number 2 overall pick in the 2024 NFL Draft behind Caleb Williams. So Jordan Reed would go on to say, so many little things go unnoticed about Drake Maye. One of his best traits is noticing unusual pre-snap looks and blitzes. He sees this all the way, angle drops away from the pressure to buy time, and makes great touch on the throw. Hell, let's watch it. All right. These guys are lined up right here. He sees the pressure coming. He floats away from it just a hair and gets the ball out. Holy shit, that's a great throw. Okay. That's a nice throw. Holy Jesus. He dropped it right in there. Drake Maye using his eyes and subtle pocket movements before throwing a 50-yard missile shot versus Syracuse. Let's look at this. Little play fake. He rolls around. Takes a step up in the pocket. My goodness, that's great. And then you come over to this. This is CBS Sports.com, and they are already drawing mock drafts out there. And with the number 3 pick, they got, now, of course, we don't know where everybody's picking in the draft at this point, but at number 3, their mock draft, Josh Edwards, quote, the only thing that makes this a complicated selection is Russell Wilson's contract, and they have the Broncos taking Drake Maye. 6'4", 230. Otherwise, I don't think this team that's going to compete in next couple of years. So you want to restock your pantry, get a quarterback like Drake Maye, who I think is one of the better players in this draft. If it were most other draft, years, besides a Caleb Williams coming out, Drake Maye would be the first overall pick. He's probably going to be number 2, although Caleb Williams had a meltdown versus Notre Dame the other day, throwing 3 interceptions, but occasionally that kind of thing does happen in college. The one thing I will say that I like about Drake Maye versus, say, Caleb Williams or some of these other quarterbacks, I like when a quarterback comes out of a Power 5 school, but maybe not a huge Power 5 school, right? I was a big fan of, like, for example, Brock Purdy's a great example of that. He checks a lot of the Parcells rules, commandments, things like that. And I like to see a quarterback. Sometimes I think a lot of times they don't work out because they don't play enough games in college, get enough reps, and we know that Brock Purdy got a ton of reps. I just like to see a ton of games played. This is something you did not see. By the time this season gets over with Drake Maye, he will have played in 30 college games. He would have played in 30 college games. Now, my other thing is I'd like to see him be a junior. And then if he wants to come out after his junior year, fine. He's going to end up coming out after his sophomore year. So we'll have to see how this goes. But I would bet a lot of money. If I was to put a percentage on it, I'd put about a 97% chance that the Broncos probably end up drafting a quarterback, provided they are in the right position to do it in the draft. But this is they could go Michael Penix Jr., they could go Bo Nix. I'm sure Sean Payton is already working up things in his head. But one thing is very clear, Russell Wilson's days in Denver are probably over after this season, okay? Tell me what you think. The fire is building towards the Broncos taking Drake Maye or another quarterback in the draft and moving on from Russell. Question is, does Russell retire before he continues to play himself out of the NFL Hall of Fame? That's a good question. Peace. I'm out. Till next time.
Thanks for watching the show. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Be sure to tune in next time on Black and White Sports.